You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And today, on this Total Wellness Tuesday, I'm going to bring you the top 10 causes of death. And the reason I'm bringing you these top 10, it's from the USA, but again, it's most of the industrialized world, is that the statistics are absolutely amazing for how most of the causes of death, most of the reasons why we die before our time, are not because of genetics, not because of all sorts of different ingrained things within us as a human, but very preventable, very lifestyle-based issues that are amazing. I mean, when I looked at the list, I could not believe, really couldn't believe, I don't know why, I just haven't looked at it in depth before, that these are things within all of our control that allows us to live, hopefully, a nice, long, healthy life. I mean, it's just unbelievable when I look at these types of numbers and I say, man, if we could just correct some of these lifestyle-based things, we could have people living a decade, 2 decades longer than they're doing right now, but also that they're living longer with better quality of life. Nobody wants to live a long life if you're in pain and you're suffering and you're on a dozen different medications. I don't think too many people want that life, right? They don't. But what if you could live a nice, long life and feel good, where your joints didn't hurt, where you had energy, where you had a lot of vitality? I mean, that would be a totally different story. So let's get into it right now. I want to go into all of the different causes, okay? So depending on whose list you look at, they could have different causes, but no matter what, every list looks at statistics, scientific statistics of what people are dying from right now. Now, the main one that we're looking at on this list right now is heart disease, so cardiovascular-based disease. Now, when we're looking at cardiovascular-based disease, what we're really looking at is high cholesterol, inflammation, anything that's going to build up, constrict, or hurt the arteries or the heart itself. Now, it's not just about high cholesterol. It's really about inflammation as well, because half the people who have heart attacks don't have high cholesterol. So what's the explanation? The explanation is inflammation of the arteries. Because keep in mind, even if your arteries are just caked with plaque, if you have the ability to expand those arteries as blood pumps through, well, then you have enough space to get the blood through for the most part, unless you're very included, unless you have a lot of plaque, a lot of cholesterol buildup. So what matters is looking at your CRP on your blood work, looking at your homocysteine, have your PCP run those specific things. Then run an omega-3 test. Look at your inflammation levels from omega-6s to omega-3s. Vitally important, because if you do that, your chances of dying from cardiovascular disease go down 90%. Amazing statistic if you can get your total omega-3 saturation. Again, you can do an omega-3 test. You can just go to stephencabral.com, go to our store, check out the omega-3 test. It is money well spent, because you're going to see what percentage you are in terms of inflammation. And all you have to do is get your omega-3s up to 9% of your total fat in your blood, and that equates to a 90% risk reduction in cardiovascular disease. Amazing. So easy to prevent. Now, the second one is cancer. It's the only one on this list that I can say that cancer is not always within your control. Here's what I mean. Okay, so we can do so much to prevent cancer, right? Because we know that keeping the body detoxified, eating 60 to 80% alkaline diet, which means mainly vegetables and greens and some fruits and berries and all those great things, that's going to help prevent cancer. That eating less processed meats, and especially meat that's fed grains and soy and antibiotics, all those things is going to help, with all of those things, because we're not raising IGF-1 levels. So there's a lot of things we can do to absolutely prevent cancer. Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And there's a lot of things we can do to treat cancer naturally as well. But what if you were someone who was exposed to carcinogenic-based water in your community? What if you lived under power lines? What if you were exposed to? So there's a lot of things you could be exposed to that could cause cancer as well. So that's the only one on this list that isn't as cut and dry. However, we can do amazing things to help purify and clean the body, and that starts with improving your liver function, improving your T cells, and detoxifying your body. Okay, number 3 in the list, tobacco. Well, tobacco, straightforward, cancer, lung disease, all those things, don't smoke. If you're smoking right now, stop. Find a way to stop. The best way, nothing's easy, right? But the best way to do about that is you have to replace smoking with another thing. A lot of people just say, I'm just going to cut it out. No, you have to replace it with something. You cannot leave a void for that cigarette, for that nicotine. Start to wean yourself off. Do everything you can to get off of cigarettes. COPD, all of these terrible things are caused by smoking. Those are coming up on the list. Now, medical errors is up next. So medical errors accounts for, this should actually be on the list, pharmaceutical drug use, interactions with certain pharmaceutical drugs with other ones. These are the predominant ones. Now, this is number, I believe, 4 on the list. A lot of people have said pharmaceutical drugs have been anywhere from number 1 or number 2. And the reason is that a lot are underreported. A lot of people have interactions and they have bad reactions to a pharmaceutical drug that they're on. So if you take a drug and you have a bad feeling about it, do contact your PCP. Do let them know about that. This is very preventable. And of course, try to treat it naturally. 99% of the time, you're most likely not going to need that pharmaceutical drug. Just do more research. Look more into it. Okay, obesity, another cause, because obesity leads to what? It leads to so many other things like type 2 diabetes, higher levels of cardiovascular disease, so many different things. Don't lose weight for vanity reasons. Lose weight for your health. Make sure you have this healthy transport unit called your body to move yourself through life. It's going to improve your quality of life. You're going to have less pain. It's going to be easier to breathe. It's going to be easier to move around. You're going to have more energy. So important. All right, stroke. Stroke is another one. Well, let's look at this tied to high blood pressure. If we can keep our blood pressure low, right? If we can make sure that our magnesium to calcium levels are balanced, that we're making sure we're getting a lot of vegetables in our diet, that we're removing those processed foods, that we're reducing inflammation, we're not going to have that high blood pressure. We're not going to have that increased risk of stroke. So lower respiratory disease, like something like COPD or bronchial-based issues, typically caused by smoking. Again, remove that tobacco. Make sure your body's in good, strong condition, that you exercise, that you strengthen your lungs. Real important. Unintentional accidents. Now, unintentional accidents, of course, we can't avoid those, right? Those are some of the things that just happen. Now, some of those things are in a car, get into a car accident, no seatbelt. Riding a bike, skiing, snowboarding, no helmet on. And so those are the very preventable accidents. So yes, some accidents absolutely cannot be avoided. I understand that. You understand that. That is, some of the chances. That's part of life. But however, when you look at it, your chances of surviving a car accident are much greater if you're driving in a car with airbags and you're also wearing your seatbelt. So do the things that you can prevent. That's obviously my recommendation with that. All right, the list starts to go down after that from alcohol, hospital-based infections. So when you're in the hospital, obviously, like if you can do those things that don't force you to go to the hospital, which is all the things that I was talking about, you're less chance for infection, right? Diabetes. Okay, keeping your processed sugars out of your diet, keeping your weight down. It's going to be less chance for diabetes. And then again, we go into Alzheimer's and all the other things that we've talked about in the past. So when we look at that top 10, really what are we looking at? We can boil it down to this: heart disease, being overweight, which is going to cause also the high blood pressure as well, smoking, and a lot of it being on pharmaceutical-based drugs. So what can we do? Well, let's work with our current PCP, and let's work with some type of natural-based practitioner, whether they're a doctor or a health practitioner or a chiropractor or an acupuncturist, whoever you trust, whoever you want to work with. Work to then wean off those medications only after, of course, you're getting better. We shouldn't just stop just for the sake of stopping. And then let's start to rebalance the body, because when I look at this list, I'm looking at heart disease, I'm looking at cancer, tobacco, obesity, medical errors, stroke, lower respiratory disease, mainly from smoking, hospital-based infections, alcohol, diabetes. Also, I'm looking at all things, and the list even goes down to like pneumonia and drunk driving, unintentional poisoning. So I'm looking at things, hopefully you're seeing, and hopefully this is motivating to you, that these are all very preventable. You and I can work on these things now so that they don't become an issue in the future. No matter where you're starting, you can improve. I work with people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s in my practice. You can improve at any age. I honestly believe that. The sooner the better, of course. Start today, start tomorrow, start to get into it. But the truth is this, that the top 10 list, besides cancer, and now still, believe me, cancer is mainly preventable. It really is. And when you get it, it's not a death sentence. It's really not. Start to look at websites like Cancer's Tutor. Start to listen to the podcasts that I talk about with cancer and understand that you can do a lot naturally to remove cancer from your body. But start now. Start detoxing now. Start using things, if possible, like curcumin or turmeric, things that are naturally anti-cancer. Eat broccoli. Use the things like sulforaphane. All of these things are great. Make your diet 80% alkaline. Why not? It's just predominantly vegetables. It's predominantly plant-based. This makes sense. It's almost impossible not to be healthy if the majority of your diet is coming from plants or greens and berries and those types of great antioxidants for us. So my big thing when I looked at this list is I just saw so much positivity. I saw so much hope that we really can, as Americans and people all over the world, do so much to improve our health, do so much to improve our longevity. I hope this episode helped you today. I really appreciate you tuning in. I look forward to speaking with you all this week on the Cabral Concept.
Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.